Because America likes to portray itself as this post-racial utopia. And Charlottesville really showed everyone across this nation that that's not the case. And we have a really long way to go. And the fact that Donald Trump emboldened them and really said there was good people on both sides, really? When that white terrorist plowed through a whole crowd of human beings and there's good people on both sides, that is absolutely disgusting to me. And honestly, like, he does not represent who I am as a person, and he's definitely not my president. You will never hear that coming from my mouth. So,
Janae, I'm going to put the same question to you. Just what does this moment mean? It's an opportunity to look back on what happened a year ago, to look at the response or lack thereof from the President of the United States as well. What are you thinking as you watch these images coming out of Washington?
I mean, it's profoundly sad how significantly our society has devolved. As you know, we've already talked about, this country is so far from where it needs to be, and this did not start with Donald Trump. This was something that we all knew. Certainly, we at the Legal Defense Fund have been fighting this fight for nearly 80 years. But the way in which this president has unleashed a degree of racism and vitriolic hate that has been life-threatening, that has been just something that has infected our politics, our discourse, the way in which we interact with one another, needs to be roundly condemned. And every opportunity that he's had to do that, he's failed. He's failed miserably at it. And in fact, he's sent not even a dog whistle, a basic cattle call to his supporters and encouraged them to continue the hate and continue even the violence that we're seeing, what we saw last year, and I hope that we do not see today.
So the president is absent from this conversation. We got a tweet from him yesterday, but you're with Black Lives Matter, you're going to college, you're integrally involved.
Yeah, Hampton University.
In getting students organized for this. So he's not a part of that conversation. What is the status as you see it of that conversation? As you talk to other folks your age about what needs to happen in this country when it comes to the conversation about race?
Well, first and foremost, we need to address racism for what it actually is and as a systemic issue, not only just a person-to-person thing, but looking at it from a systemic standpoint. Because if you break the word in half itself, everyone knows what race means, and the suffix ism, that means system. And for generations, we've been taught that racism is just, oh, I don't like you because insert color. And that's not all that there is to it. It's an institutional issue. It's a systemic issue. And if we continue to address it as a person-to-person thing, we will never get to where we need to be. And, you know, we have to be really honest about this conversation and unapologetic and unfiltered, you know, because people are so scared of hurting feelings all the time that, you know, there needs to be a point where, you know, we have to be uncomfortable at certain points. And out of that uncomfortability comes progress. So, you know, I honestly think that we need to be honest about what racism actually is and how it affects people in this country and who benefits from it and who suffers from it. So
when you look at that system, this is one component part of it. It's out there. You've got avowed, proud white supremacists, only 24 of them in Washington, D.C. today. But you're looking at that system as a whole. And racism is much more than that. It exists not as publicly as we're seeing here today.
That's right. It's very easy to look at this march and last year's march and think that is a fringe group in society that doesn't represent the views of most white Americans or most Americans generally. And we'd be remiss if we did not also look at the laws and policies that affect African Americans and other racial minorities in this country and see that as part of a broader whole. What we're seeing in these marches is a manifestation of just the gut hate that animates these policies and that animates all of what we're seeing in terms of mass incarceration, voter suppression, anti-immigration, anti-LGBTQ concerns. All of this is animated by that same concern about losing power. And if we don't actually confront that issue and recognize that it's tied to the history of this country since its inception, we'd be missing this moment. As dangerous as it is, it's one in which we actually have an opportunity to confront racism.
That's right where I want to go, because we talk about this president and his rhetoric, but you're talking about policy. How much is that rhetoric making it more difficult to deal with that policy, to make the kind of policy changes you're talking about?
Well, when you have the Supreme Court acknowledging that the president made certain statements in connection with, for example, the Muslim ban, the travel ban, and that same animus was actually put into a policy that keeps certain people out of this country and that has turned into violence and hatred on the ground. When you have a court that can't even tether those statements to the policy, I think we're in a very dangerous place. So I'm very concerned that we are not seeing the connection between the comments, between what he's fanning and fomenting as a leader of this country and the policies that are being made. And also, let's not just only place this with the president. Congress has a role as well. The Legal Defense Fund has a petition that we're asking everyone to sign to hold Congress to account, to respond to this white supremacist matter that's been with our country forever, but that is rearing its head in a very unapologetic way. And Congress must step up and do something. It actually had a resolution before the House State Government Committee, Resolution 583, that asked Congress to put forward a bill that identifies these extremist groups as white supremacist groups, as terrorist groups. Yeah. And they failed to do that. It failed within 30 seconds, 36 seconds of being on the floor.
Yes.
That is a dereliction of duty, not just of the president, but of Congress as well.
But they labeled...
Yeah, go to your last question, yeah.
But they labeled Black Lives Matter as extreme identists, black identity extremists, which is absolutely disgusting because we're fighting just for the right to live another day. We're not going around killing random white people or terrorizing groups of people. That's not what we're doing. That's exactly what those white supremacists are doing out there. They're terrorists, and people need to call it as it is. The media needs to address it as it is. They are terrorists. Period.
Thanks to both of you for joining me here on this Sunday. Paul and Janae, thank you both very much. And tonight, on the one-year mark of the deadly clash, we'll be airing a documentary called Breaking Hate here on a former white supremacist who's dedicated his life to reforming others. That's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Our coverage here of those protests in Washington, D.C. Are going to continue here in just a moment. My colleague Richard Louie is going to be taking over our coverage. Jeff Bennett, Garrett Haake, Mike Vaquera on the ground in Washington, D.C., which much more coming up right here on Msnbc.
It's simple. People count on you, and you count on your truck. So we built you the most capable line of Ram trucks yet. The all-new Ram 1500 delivers best-in-class V8 towing. The Ram 2500 has best-in-class gas towing. And the Ram 3500 gives you best-in-class fifth-wheel towing. That's why more people are switching to Ram than ever before.
Now get an average $8,659 in total values on the 2018 Ram 3500 Limited Crew Cab with a Cummins diesel engine.
I've been making blades here at Gillette for 20 years. There's a lot of innovation that goes into making America's #1 shave. Precision machinery and high-quality materials from around the world. Nobody else even comes close. Now starting at $7.99. Gillette, the best a man can get.
Your call is now first in line and will be answered by the next available representative. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for holding. How may I assist you?
Hi, yes. We were just broken into, and we need a home security system.
Oh, sorry, wrong department. Please hold.
The best home security isn't hard to get. With Simply Safe, you can get comprehensive, professionally monitored home security online without the hold time or runaround. Anyone can set up Simply Safe in under an hour. There are no tools needed. Just open the box, plug it in, and your family's protected around the clock. Each Simply Safe system is a thoughtfully assembled security arsenal. From entry and motion sensors to a high-definition security camera, you'll have everything you need to keep your family safe. If someone tries to break in, you can see what happened right on your phone. Our monitoring center will call to make sure you're safe and immediately dispatch police to your home. Simply Safe's professional security is so reliable, it was named Central Station of the Year. And with Simply Safe, 24/7 protection is just $15 a month. There are no long-term contracts or commitments, so you're free to start or cancel monitoring when you need to. CNET called Simply Safe Comprehensive, Easy-to-Use Protection, naming it Editor's Choice for Home Security. And it has over 30,000 five-star reviews on Google. Each system comes with a 60-day risk-free guarantee. Order today and get free shipping. You'll feel safe at home or your money back. Start protecting your home today. Go to GetSimplySafe.com.
change of scenery? The Kayak Price Forecast tool tells you whether to wait or book your flight now, so you can be confident you're getting the best price. Giddy up. Kayak. Search one and done.
You are amazing.
Me?
Yes, you. You're a just the right spot scratcher, a leash unleasher, a thunder therapist. And from day one, you've been your dog's hero. That's why you choose Rachel Ray Nutrish. Offering recipes with real meat as the #1 ingredient and options with 0 grains of fillers. That's amazing. Nutrish. Real recipes, real ingredients, real good.
Watching breaking news this hour for you. A good Sunday to all of you. I'm Richard Louie in for Yasmin Vasugian. 1 year ago today, the country was forced to face an ugly truth. A life taken during a demonstration of hate. The president criticized for his response in not condemning it. And racial tensions heightened to levels reminiscent of the civil rights movement so many years ago. A year later now, the difficult conversations on racism continue. This is the scene right now, this hour in Washington, D.C., a city on edge with a white nationalist rally set to start in about an hour in Lafayette Park there, directly in front of the White House. It is the same group behind the violent rally that happened in Charlottesville, Virginia last year that I was just mentioning. So far, very few white nationals have shown up. A much larger number of counter-protesters are there to hold their own rallies nearby. We have reporters standing by along the protest routes monitoring the situation. We're going to start with NBC's Garrett Hake with the white nationalist rally, and a lot happening there. What are you seeing?
Hey, Richard, I'm actually on the edge of that rally. We are blocked by the police on one side from getting any closer, and what you're seeing right now is the arrival, or more accurately, the return of a group of Antifa counter-protesters and Black Lives Matter protesters who had gathered here on the street just outside the perimeter of Lafayette Park maybe 20 or 30 minutes ago. It's best probably to think of them as patrolling the outer edges of this park. D.C. police have made it their mission, and they've been very clear about this, that their big goal here is today is to keep all of these groups separate. On the way in, you had this massive self-contained almost parade of D.C. police escorting the white nationalist group, who have only numbered about maybe 24 folks in. This counter-protest group is many, many times larger than that, and I can tell you some of them are very, very unhappy about the presence of white nationalists in their community. So the challenge for the rest of the day will remain the same, to keep these groups and to keep this tension purely sort of in the verbal category here. There's been a lot of nasty words thrown back and forth, but if these groups can be kept separate by this very large contingent of D.C. and federal police from different agencies, they'll consider this a good day, Richard.
Okay, so a lot happening there, Garrett. Let's get over to Mike Vaquera, who's also there in the D.C. area. Vic, what are you seeing?
Well, the Park Police and the Secret Service have allowed us to come and be in proximity to that man. That's Jason Kessler, the individual who has organized that. As you see, he just started speaking. There, as Garrett has noted, as Jeff has noted, as I've noted in the last hour, there are relatively few of these protesters. We count about 24. Let's have a look over here. Many of them have their faces covered, who came. They hold signs that say, "White people wake up." They hold anti-abortion signs as well. Here's another individual over here to the left, right in front of the White House. Perhaps you can see the White House behind these individuals. Again, very few. Why are there so few of you here today, sir?
Why do you think?
I don't know why.
Because people want us dead, and everyone's afraid to show up and speak on behalf of white people, and not just white people, of America.
Why do they want you dead?
They want us dead because it's projection. They're the actual fascists. They're the actual.
Are you a racist?
I am not a racist.
How could you
I am not a white supremacist. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not any of those things. I love everyone. Honestly, I do. And because of that, I want to fight the people who are enslaving you.
Yeah. Okay.
God,
we're done.
We're done. Yeah. Listen.
So that's the scene, Richard. I don't know what else to say. The protesters, I called it a couple thousand just across here. You can see the police, the grass between us and Lafayette Park. They actually booed many of them when they saw that the Park Police had escorted us from our press pen on a different side, on the east side of Lafayette Park, over towards Jason Kessler and his followers here. They don't want us to give these people any oxygen, any attention whatsoever. And so it's with mixed feelings that we're even here. But this is the situation. These white nationalists, these white supremacists here, just across from the White House, really very few of them, just a couple of dozen.